Hi there, wildlife lovers. Welcome to World of Wildlife, where we explore the incredible creatures and ecosystems that make up our planet. I'm Sarah. Today we have an exciting journey into the world of dinosaur birds, or cassowaries, as they're more commonly known. But before we dive in, please make sure you hit the like button, comment below with any questions or wildlife stories that you have, and don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. While you're at it, check out my social media channels for more wildlife facts, updates, and behind the scenes content. All right, let's get stuck in. So an update for me, if those of you who are new, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you being here. My name is Dr. Sarah Pye, and I got the doctor because I actually wrote my doctorate focused on how narratives can engage non-scientists in conservation. And that led to the publishing of all these books. They all tell the stories of Dr. Wong Soo Tee, who is my co-host in this gathering each month. So I first wrote his biography, Saving Sun Bears, as part of my doctorate output. And then I've written 7 kids' books about his adventures in the jungles of Malaysia with different species. Okay, so if you haven't seen those books yet, then have a look. I know that a lot of the people here have. Milani, you've got copies. I know that Taylor, Irene's daughter, has copies. And Taylor was actually one of the young reviewers in one of my books. So she's actually got her name, picture, and her review inside the cover of one of those books, which is pretty cool, I reckon. A couple of things I've been doing. I've just launched my new tours for Borneo next year. So this year I took a group of 6 adventure travelers to Borneo and showed them through this part of the world that I absolutely adore, introduced them to Wildlife Wong himself, and we spent time with him at the Bornean Sun Bear Conservation Centre. We also spent time in Danam Valley, which is one of the best pristine jungles in the world, and saw incredible animals like wild orangutans and bitterons and what else? Booming gibbons, all sorts of incredible creatures there. So I've just tweaked those tours and launched them for next year. So if anyone's interested in looking at those tours, seeing what we're doing, and maybe coming along with me, there are only 8 places for each of the 2 tours I'll be running. So go to my website and have a bit of a look on those. I would also be so grateful if you guys could share those with people that you think might be interested in coming along. All right. What have I done this month? I've gone to a book signing at Annie's Bookshop. This is one of my favorite bookshops in the world. I know those people on the Sunshine Coast will agree with me that Annie's Bookshop is just absolutely beautiful. Every book in there is fantastic. And Annie, who owns the shop, is beautiful. This is Palmyra, so this is not Annie. But I think she's got a bit of a crush on my puppet Pongo. So she actually loves it when Pongo comes to visit. So we had a bit of a signing there. That was fun. I also did a really interesting forum on the Friday forums at Noosa Parks during the school holidays, which Kat and Milani came to, which was really fun. So there we learned all about some of these incredible creatures that I've worked with, and then we linked that to biodiversity in our local region of the Sunshine Coast through the minuscule little tiny hero of the fig wasp. And we used that fig wasp to then connect children to the environment through a workshop where they made a quadrat. Now, if anyone here doesn't know what a quadrat is, it's that little square frame you can see on the ground. So what the children did is they built this quadrat, which is basically a grid that scientists use to actually count species in a small area, and then they extrapolate or multiply that what their findings are to a larger area to determine how many of that species there is in the larger area. So the kids built quadrats, and then we actually took them out into the area around the national parks and counted what we could find and drew what we could find, which is really fun. The thing I enjoyed the most, I think, about this experience was that a lot of people who are involved in Noosa Parks are of an older generation who know extreme amounts of knowledge about the environment. So what we did is each of the teams of children had older people sort of paired up with them to mentor them through this process. So once they actually got out into and put their quadrats down under a tree, and they actually had someone with a lot of knowledge with them to help them identify species, to count fungi, to learn all sorts of incredible things. I'd love to ask Kat and Malani, what were your takeaways from this experience?
Well, you've put us on the spot, haven't you?
Why not? Might as well.
The practical exercise was really good, wasn't it? Like to break it down into such a minute little space in the backyard, and the amount of really little things that we found that you don't take the time to notice. If you're walking past, you miss it all. So we were just digging in all those little quadrants and seeing what we could find. And yeah, it's just fascinating. It was a really good, fun exercise, especially to do in a group and chat with each other about what we're finding. And we didn't know what something was, to figure it out together. And yeah, it was good, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks. I put you on the spot, but there you go. You did it. Well done. I don't think we've got anyone else here that was at the event, do we? I don't think we do. No, I think not. So that was fun. And for those of you who don't know, I take these workshops into classes and in schools throughout the country, and also abroad. So I have actually done similar sort of workshops in Malaysia. And at the moment, keep your fingers crossed for me, because it looks like I might be going to Brunei in February to do a whole week of workshops in Brunei in February. I'm so excited for that possibility. All right, next thing I want to sort of announce is something very, very exciting. So I know I've been talking or giving you a little bit of information about my next book, Curious Kai Asks Why. So Curious Kai Asks Why is a story about a 10-year-old girl who asked endless questions. Her questions are so difficult and a little bit off the wall, so her teachers can't answer them, her mum can't answer them, so she and her mum hook up their camper trailer and they go in search of the real life scientists who can answer her questions. So this is a blended fiction non-fiction story, and it gives a profile to some of the experts and scientists that are in our incredible country of Australia. So the first book in the series focuses on traveling around Queensland, and that's where our speaker today comes from. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Curious Kai. All right, so here's a bit of a potential cover concept reveal. This is possibly what the cover might look like. So Curious Kai, the manuscript, has gone out to publishers now to determine whether they would like to publish this in a traditional sense. Those of you that know me know that every book I've done so far has been self-published under my own imprint. So if traditional publishers don't like it, don't worry. Don't worry. Curious Kai will hit the bookshops. It definitely will. It just will go through the normal channels that I've done in the past. All right. So this is an illustration created by Sandra, who's here. Sandra, what made you give me a question for you? I'm going to put you on the spot. What was your sort of inspiration for this cover?
Oh, just reading through all the stories gave me an idea of what Kai looks like, and just her whole personality. A, she's bubbly.
Yep.
B, she's obviously very curious. And I think you gave me a hint of red hair and freckles or something along those lines. So she just grew from that.
I know that the majority of a lot of protagonists in kids are redhead. I don't know why. You know, even in movies, you might sort of be aware of that. That this red thing has got this cheekiness to it, doesn't it?
It does, and she just basically grew from that. Just came together.
She's awesome, isn't she? And I love the way that we've got all this story includes 8 different species throughout Queensland, and you'll see them represented in those bubbles, which is kind of cool. And then at the end of every single chapter, Sandra has developed what looks like, you can see behind her, actually, you can see that there's a picture of an open book. So in this in the narrative, Curious Kai's mum is an illustrator. So Sandra and I tend to think of me as Curious Kai and her as Curious Kai's mum. in this sort of story. So here's how one of the pictures look, and this is the one that you can see behind Sandra as well. So this illustration looks like it's Curious Kai's mum's journal that she's actually illustrating as she travels around. And
Can I just show the journal? Can you see?
yeah, please do.
On. We're going to.
You might have to take your thing off.
Yeah, the background off. Yeah, there we are. So it's just it's a journal that all handmade. So we've got all the original illustrations all included in the journal as a keepsake at the end, basically. So
beautiful. And Sandra's kindly said that I can use it when I come into schools and show people the real the original artwork as well, which is really cool. So this illustration is about when Curious Kai meets a scientist called Matthew Connors, who is a entomologist who works at JCU University. Now, hopefully Matthew's going to come and share his knowledge about praying mantis and katydids. Katydids are, if you don't know what it is, look it up. Katydids are a pretty cool animal. So these are some of the creatures that Curious Kai and Matthew together found by hanging up a sheet in the middle of the rainforest at night with a light on it and seeing what lands on it. So obviously the eagle didn't show up at night, but that's part of the story as well. So isn't that beautiful?
The bugs.
Yeah, she's chasing the bugs. Yeah. Any thoughts or questions to Sandra about her illustrations there? No questions? Got some pretty cool species there, don't we? And Woonbin, you'll notice that we've tried to keep this field note sketch style that you did when you actually did the illustrations for Wildlife Wong and the Sumatran rhino. We've still kept that sort of a field note sketch idea because it sort of has a foot in two camps, doesn't it, Sandra? It's sort of this idea of illustration, but it's got that scientific sort of element to it. That was
yeah.
And I love the way, Sandra, that you did it on the hanging sheet. I love
that one in particular. Yes.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It's a bit hard to indicate the light that they use and everything, but the story does that anyway.
Yeah, you did that really well. All right, should we look at another one? Is there anything you want to add to that picture there, Sandra?
No.
No, you're happy?
But
okay,
enough
let's
there.
look at another one. How about that one? So this one is a chapter where Curious Kai meets Graham and goes in search of cassowaries, the dinosaur birds in the rainforest. So Sandra, tell us about the illustrations on this one. Have you got anything any insights you want to share?
No, there was a fair bit to add to this. Obviously, there's no colour. We've left it just the black. So I do it in pencil sketch and then I go over with a fine texter, fine nib pen, and leave it basically as that. So we're not sure whether it'll end up being coloured or black and white, just like a wash colour, but I think that will depend on the publisher too. But at this point, I think it's more than acceptable just in the black and white.
Yeah, I think it's gorgeous, and every single one of those elements there, it features in the story.
Especially we know cassowary poo, which is not easy to draw, but I think it works out well.
Graham, did you do okay on the cassowary poo?
That looks pretty good. It looks like, is it almost sort of steaming up from the floor? That looks cool.
And there's some stories in this chapter, all of which came from the day that I spent with Graham, learning about cassowaries and chicks. And the heading for this chapter is, what is the point of feathers if you can't fly? Which is a very, very interesting question that you're going to have to wait for the book to find out, unless Graham tells us in his little chat here. Any questions, other questions for Sandra about those beautiful illustrations? No, looks like we're doing all right. Thank you, Sandra. You've done. I'm absolutely amazed with the incredible work you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's a job I'm thoroughly enjoying doing.
You're liking doing it. That's
Yeah.
good, because we're I'm now working on the next one. So we're working on Curious Kai traveling through New South Wales, and in this one she'll actually quit school. So she and her mum have decided that school is getting in the way of their experiences. So I know I can see a smile on Milani's flat face here, because Milani is trying to talk Kat into doing exactly the same. So they'll travel around New South Wales, and the second book will be called Curious Kai Quits School. And on the way around New South Wales, she's actually going to meet up with Milani and learn about koalas, because Milani is a bit of a koala crusader and expert. So Milani is going to be one of Curious Kai's best friends in the next book. So really excited to do that. We're going to meet up in January in New South Wales and go koala hunting, aren't we, Kat and Milani?
We can't wait.
No, we can't wait. That should be really fun.